Welcome to Tales Beyond Threads. Dive into the most intriguing Reddit stories from across the internet. Sit back, relax, and let the stories unfold. Am I the a-hole for banning my in-laws from seeing my children and threatening my husband with divorce if he doesn't agree? My mother-in-law has a total of 10 grandchildren. Mine are her least favorite, and as long as the children were young and didn't understand, it was tolerable, but now they suffer a lot and notice the favoritism, and visiting the in-laws has become an ordeal for my children, especially when the other cousins are there. Now I have decided to eliminate this anxiety from my children and forbid my in-laws to ever be in my children's lives again. Almost everyone on my husband's family, including my husband, are calling me an ah, and many are saying that I am an arrogant and hateful woman, and that's why I never was a favorite of my mother-in-law. But see, this is where I disagree. It doesn't matter if she likes me or not. If I am the arrogant one, or she's the selfish, bitter, it shouldn't be taken out on the children, and here's an example of the train of thought that made me come to this conclusion. I have a sister and a brother, both married with kids. I hate my brother-in-law because he is an abusive, and I love my sister-in-law. I love all my siblings because they are my family and didn't choose their parents. In other words, my children are her grandchildren and her son's children, no matter who I am. Now she is calling my husband, crying every day about how I am forbidding her from seeing her grandchildren, which is beyond me, because why would she even care when she doesn't like them? Because I finally said something? My other reason is that I don't want my children to resent their cousins for being treated better, because it is both the cousins' fault, either that adults aren't even pretending to be civil. My husband said that I have no right, and he has the same amount of say to decide who meets his children. So I told him that fine. He could choose us or mommy, and we could divorce, and I would make sure his mom to never see our children enforced legally. Because what started all of this is one of my sister-in-laws sending me chat logs after chat logs of his mother spewing hatred about my children, especially my daughter because she looks like me. Am I the a-hole? Can I forbid my husband's family to see our children even with him believing we could fix this in a less dramatic way? His mother is very willing to apologize and talk, and she says that she loves our children very much. But for me, that ship has sailed and sunken. My daughter does not want to see anyone from that side of the family. Huge gamble are relying on judge to specifically exclude these people from seeing your kids in a divorce. Have to accept that it's possible they will see them more once you're out of the picture. Yeah, the better plan would be to have the children see a child psychologist or therapist. Let the doctor tell a judge that those people are damaging to the mental health of the children. And even then, it's still not a guarantee. Agree, unless they are abusive or have a criminal record that makes them a danger to a child, most judges don't want to micromanage parents and who they can bring their kids around. Additionally, the chats may not be admissible in court, as that is hearsay given it was not sent to you directly. It would be a hard battle to fight and costly. As someone who grew up with a grandmother who was like this, don't bring kids around her. We do notice the favoritism. We do resent our cousins who were favorites, and the relationship can be damaged because of this adult's actions. IDK if it merits divorce, but definitely low contact with them. I was about 7 and 8 when my grandmother told me I wasn't supposed to be born. I told my mother, and she let me choose to see her again. I didn't see her much until I was a few years older. She's always hated the kids my mother had with one of her specific sons, my bio father, so the hatred for him transferred to us. Just keep your kids away from her. It's not worth the pain and hurt of seeing her. Am I the a-hole for telling my father it's his fault for my brother being kidnapped and not mine? To keep it short, when I was 6, me, my brother, and my father went to the masjid, a place of worship for Muslims. The sister side and brother side is separated with a curtain, so we can't see each other as I'm on the sister side. My father tells me brother, who was 4 at the time, to go to the sister side with me and tells me to watch him. Me being 6 did the complete opposite, and my brother literally just walked out. When my father asked me where my brother was, I looked around and couldn't find him. He started panicking and called the cops, and we looked all around the city. Luckily, a homeless couple had found him and was keeping him safe, and we got him back after an hour. But to this day, he blames me and says that I purposely try to get rid of him because I must have been jealous. But that was never the case. I've never been jealous of any of my siblings, and it was really a mistake. Even years later, it still mentally haunts me that I could have been the reason my brother would be gone forever. And I make it up to him every day with gifts and such. But today, I just had enough. He once again brought it up after a full day of babysitting all my 6 younger siblings, and told me how it was my fault. I just snapped and told him who in their right mind lets a 6-year-old babysit a 4-year-old. And that it wasn't my fault as I was just a child, but it was his fault as he should have been watching his child, and I'm done being his scapegoat because he can't face the reality that his son could have gone missing because of his neglect. My father said nothing, but I just went upstairs. I know it isn't my fault, but I just can't stop feeling like it is. Am I the a-hole? It's crazy he is so hung up on something that didn't even end in tragedy. He needs to let it go and be grateful everything is fine. Not the a-hole you were only 6. Not the a-hole your dad was the irresponsible parent. He has misplaced guilt, so it's easier to blame you. He is being a coward. You are very much not the a-hole. You are both his responsibility. Unfortunately, I wouldn't accept much from your father and how he looks at women in general. What's a 6-year-old got to be jealous of to make a conscious decision? Just not how it works. And if there is jealousy there, it's because of the adults in their lives not treating them as equals. Am I the a-hole because I slapped my wife for burning our son on purpose? This is not my Reddit account, but I need opinions on this matter. My wife, 40 female, and I, 43 male, have been married for 6 years and have 3 children. My wife is a stay-at-home mother. Our son, who's 3 years old, is very hyperactive. She is naturally strict and authoritarian with our children, but our son really struggles to listen to her and stay still. I admit that he is a very difficult child. Yesterday when I came back home from work, I noticed my son had bandages on the back of his hands. When I asked my wife about it, she told me he was fooling around running in the kitchen and accidentally burnt himself. I found her explanation very weird because of the location of the burning. It was in the middle of the back of both his hands, which is a weird spot to fall on. She finally admitted that she burnt his hands on purpose with a very hot metal spoon that she was cooking with, because he kept running in the kitchen and wouldn't stay still. When she told me that I slapped her and yelled at her, thinking that she purposefully inflicted such a pain to our 3-year-old son drove me crazy. The burns are very visible and he will need treatment for it. I never hit my wife before, but I honestly feel like she deserved it for what she did to our son. Am I the a-hole? Your wife is insane. Remove your child from her presence and report her to police. OP needs to file a police report, immediately. I will tell you from someone being on the receiving side of it when I was younger. If she is at the stage of doing something that is so visible and is comfortable doing, that she is very likely already abusing your son in ways that may not be leaving visible marks on the skin. I went through this for years, and your son may not speak about it, and you would not know other than weird behavior and personality development that a professional may start to recognize at some point if they were to talk to a professional. I would be very concerned. Capture as much evidence as you can. Report it and divorce your wife. Protect your son. Am I the a-hole for marrying my brother's ex-wife and considering adopting his child after he abandoned both of them? I, 28 male, have been dating my brother's ex-wife, 30 female, for past 3 years. My brother married his ex-wife 8 years ago. After she got pregnant, he didn't want the child and forced her to abort. She didn't want to, so he just divorced her in just 1 year and gave up all his rights. My then sister-in-law was devastated. She was single mother. My brother does pay alimony and child support. We all are childhood friends and lived in the same neighborhood. IDK, what she saw in him that she married to him so early. My brother is a piece of work. He bullied me as well. He is a golden child after all. So I supported my sister and friend throughout her pregnancy and helped my nephew as well. He never saw his father cause he never met him. So 3 years ago, we started dating. We never told any of our family members, and I moved in with her. We avoided telling anyone to not create any problem. So a week ago, my brother came at his ex's place, and he was shocked to see me and asked me what I'm doing here. And we had no choice to tell him the truth. He was very mad at me, and he hit me and screaming at me, how could I do this to him? After a bit of fight, He said he came here to reconnect with his ex and become a part of his child's life, and he didn't know that I was a scumbag enough to do this to him. My now GF threatened him to leave, and she doesn't want anything to do with him. He screamed at both of us and called us lovely names. In the end, we both threatened to call cops if he doesn't leave, so he finally left. Now all my family members, mom, dad, grands, are saying I shouldn't have had such a relationship with my brother's ex and am a bad person, and they are ashamed of me. I should break up with her so my brother can be with his wife and child, and I'm an obstacle. I said to them that we were going to tell them soon and planning to get married this year or early in 25. And they called me names and threatening to cut contact and won't attend the wedding. My GF is saying to not mind them and we will get married even if it's just two of us, and to report my brother for what I did. So am I the a-hole for doing this? Not the a-hole, and there's no reason to wait until they cut you off. Go no contact with them now. You already know you can't trust them with the most important aspects of your life, so they're not worth any effort or consideration. So you help and support the woman and child your brother abandoned, but you're the scum? Yeah, it's time to go low contact or no contact with every family member that thinks this. Also, what is your brother thinking? Coming back after all this time, ignoring his responsibilities, and having his fun and thinks things are just going to go back the same? Yeah, you can tell he was the golden child and can do no wrong. Your brother seems to think that she should just be waiting for him after his wandering days were over. Reconnect? Lol, he's crazy. You aren't the a-hole. It's an uncommon situation, but it sounds like it works just fine. Congrats, not the a-hole. Thanks for watching Tales Beyond Threads. If you enjoyed the stories, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the bell icon to stay updated on our latest tales. See you next time.